Before we do anything else, my darling, I want you to let your shoulders drop for me, just a little. Take one slow breath in, and as you breathe out, imagine you are putting down a heavy bag you've been carrying all day, all the fixing, all the trying, all the "I should be further along by now." You don't have to carry that for the next few minutes. You are safe here with me. You can exhale. You can soften. You don't have to perform healing right now. You just have to be here. I know that many of you listening are exhausted, not only from life, but from trying so very hard to heal your life. You've read the books, you've repeated the affirmations, you've tried to meditate, you've tried to think positive, and still your mind can feel like a crowded train station at rush hour. There are days you think, what is wrong with me? Why am I still overthinking? Why am I still reacting? And maybe there is a part of you that feels ashamed because you are doing the work, and yet you still feel anxious, still feel sad, still feel triggered. So let me say this to you very clearly and very lovingly. There is nothing wrong with you, my darling. You are simply tired from fighting yourself for so long. You have been wrestling with your own thoughts as if they were enemies, battling your own emotions as if they were dangerous, and no wonder your body is weary. Today, I don't want to give you another war to fight inside. I don't want to teach you how to control every thought or silence every feeling. Today, I want to offer you a different possibility. What if your mind and your heart could be on the same team? What if the goal is not to shut your mind down, but to stop attacking it and to let your thinking and your feeling begin to cooperate? You may have spent years standing on one side of an inner battlefield, yelling at your mind, "Stop overthinking, stop worrying, stop making me feel this way." And your mind, like a scared child, has only gotten louder. So I want to ask you a gentle question. If just for today, you didn't have to fix yourself, you didn't have to fight yourself, you didn't have to be better by tonight, and instead you only had to learn how to sit with yourself kindly, would that feel lighter? Could you imagine yourself not as a broken machine to repair, but as a dear friend you are just beginning to understand? That is the energy I want us to be in together. One of the biggest misunderstandings I see in people on the healing path is this idea that peace will finally come on the magical day when the mind stops thinking. When I can stop these thoughts, then I'll be okay. When my mind is finally quiet, I'll start my real life. That belief makes you postpone your happiness and your peace to some future date that never quite arrives. It is as if you are saying, when the house is completely renovated, then I'll allow myself to live in it. And so you stand outside, shivering on the porch, waiting for a perfection that never comes. My dear, your mind was not designed to be empty. Just as the heart is designed to beat and the lungs are designed to breathe, the mind is designed to produce thoughts. That is its job. The problem is not that you have thoughts. The problem is that you have been taught to believe that every single thought is the truth, and that you must wrestle with each one until it behaves. So instead of making turning off the mind your goal, which is a very cruel and unrealistic goal, I would like you to try something very different. I am learning to be at peace in the middle of my thoughts. Peace is not a prize you get when your head is empty. Peace is a room inside you that you can visit even while the rest of the house is still being painted and repaired. Think of a home under renovation. There is dust in some rooms. There are boxes in the hallway. There are wires sticking out of the wall. And yet you can still have one little corner with a chair, a blanket, and a warm lamp. That is your inner peace. Your mind will still chatter. Old stories will still pass through. But you don't have to wait until everything looks perfect before you sit down and rest. You can begin to live inside your own life, in this imperfect house, while the work is in progress. Now, here is the secret no one told you. The more you fight your mind, the louder it becomes. Fighting is exactly what keeps it spinning. When you yell at a frightened child, do they calm down? No, they cry harder. Many of you have been doing exactly that to your own mind. Stop thinking like this. This is stupid. I shouldn't be feeling this way. That inner violence only adds another layer of pain on top of whatever you were already feeling. It is like hearing a song on the radio that you hate, and instead of turning away, you stand there shouting at the radio, demanding it play something else. The song doesn't change. You just exhaust yourself. You cannot stop your mind from generating thoughts, but you can stop signing into every thought as if it were your account. You can learn the art of not logging in. Imagine your mind as a television that is always running in the next room. Different channels flicker on: the worry channel, the what if channel, the I'm not good enough channel. Old episodes, reruns you've seen 100 times. You don't have to smash the TV. You don't have to unplug the whole house. You can simply recognize, oh, that's the anxiety program again, and choose not to sit down and binge watch it. You hear it faintly in the background, but you are in another room, doing something gentler with your attention. This is what I mean when I say, let the mind chatter without giving it an audience. Let it talk to itself if it wants to. You don't have to attend every thought as if it were an emergency meeting. You can listen for a moment and then say, oh, here's that old story again. Thank you for trying to protect me, but I don't need you in the same way anymore. Do you feel how different that is from what's wrong with me? Why am I thinking like this? One is a punch, the other is a soft hand on the shoulder. One tightens your entire body, the other begins to relax it. Let's take a very practical example. A thought appears. I always mess everything up. In the past, you might have believed it immediately, followed it with a whole montage of memories, and ended up in a spiral of shame. Or you might have tried to force it away. Stop thinking that. Think positive, which only made it stronger. Today, I want you to practice something different. When the thought appears, notice it like a passing cloud. You can say to yourself, there's the I always mess up cloud again. You don't argue with the cloud, and you don't jump up to grab it. You also don't pretend the sky should never have clouds. You simply let this one drift through, while you bring your attention back to something real and kind in the present moment. The feeling of your feet on the floor, the breath in your chest, the chair supporting you, the fact that you are here, listening, learning. Another image that can help is to imagine that your mind is a radio station you inherited, a station that has been playing the same anxious songs for years. You may not be able to turn it off completely, but you can turn the volume down by no longer treating every lyric as sacred truth. You might even smile a little when you recognize a familiar tune. Ah yes, the No One Likes Me song. I know this one. That smile breaks the spell. It reminds you that you are the listener, not the music. You are not your thoughts, my darling. You are the loving awareness that notices them and has the power to choose what it believes. So when a negative thought comes, instead of slamming the door in its face or inviting it in for a 3-day stay, try this. Acknowledge it, thank it, and let it pass. Oh, hello, old fear. I see you. Thank you for trying to keep me safe the only way you know how. Today, I'm learning a kinder way. Then you gently turn your attention back to your heart, to your breath, to the next small loving action you can take. You're not pretending the thought never happened. You are simply refusing to build a temple to it. This is how you stop fighting yourself. Not by having a perfectly quiet mind, but by learning to stay soft and present even while the noise is there. Little by little, as you stop feeding the drama, the volume goes down on its own, and I want you to notice something very important. Every time you choose not to argue with your mind, you are choosing to stand with your heart. Every time you say, "I don't have to believe every thought," you give your nervous system a chance to exhale. This is the beginning of cooperation inside you. The mind will still offer its old stories for a while. That is all right. The heart will keep offering a new story. We are safe enough to try again. We are worthy enough to rest. We are allowed to be gentle. When you listen to that voice just a little more each day, mind and heart slowly start walking in the same direction. So for the rest of today, I don't want you to try to win against your thoughts. There is no battle to win. I want you to practice being the calm, kind presence in the middle of them. When the noise starts up, remember, you can choose not to log in. You can stay with your breath. You can stay with your heart. You can stay with the part of you that is learning softly and steadily to stop fighting yourself and to let all of you, mind, heart, body, and spirit, become one loving team. We need to understand something very important about your inner world, my darling, or you will spend the rest of your life arguing with yourself and calling it overthinking. Inside of you, there is not one single voice that is either good or bad. There are at least two main currents, the mind and the heart. Most of us have been trained to worship the mind and ignore the heart, and then we wonder why we feel so anxious and so torn. Your mind is like a very busy secretary, always comparing, always calculating, always asking, what if this goes wrong? What if that happens? What if I get hurt again? It is not evil. It is not your enemy. It has simply been fed by fear for many years. If you grew up around worry, criticism, chaos, or unpredictability, your mind learned to scan for danger the way a smoke detector scans for fire. It runs scenarios. It rehearses problems. It tries to keep you one step ahead of pain. It says things like, if I prepare for the worst, I won't be surprised. It is doing its best with the training it received, but you also have another kind of wisdom inside you, the wisdom of the heart. The heart does not speak in long arguments or spreadsheets. It speaks in sensations, open or tight, warm or cold, relaxed or clenched, spacious or cramped. The mind writes essays. The heart whispers one sentence and then lets you feel it in your chest, in your belly, in your shoulders. The heart does not list 50 reasons. It gives you an inner nod or an inner flinch. It says, this feels like home, or something is off here, often long before the mind can explain why. When you are about to say yes to something that betrays you, the heart might suddenly feel heavy. Your breath might become shallow. Your stomach might twist just a little. When you are about to choose something that supports you, even if it scares you, there is often a subtle sense of relief, a tiny exhale, a feeling of expansion even in the middle of nervousness. That is the language of the heart. It asks a different kind of question. While the mind asks, what if everything goes wrong? The heart quietly wonders, what if this is leading me towards something better? What if there is actually goodness waiting for me on the other side of this? For most of your life, you may have been living almost entirely from the mind, especially the fearful mind. You were taught to be realistic, to think of all the consequences, to never let your guard down. You may have been rewarded for worrying, praised for over-preparing, admired for being the one who anticipates every problem. So the mind became louder and louder, and the heart moved to the background. Every decision turned into a mental battlefield, pros and cons, memories of past failures, imagined future disasters. And because the heart's voice is quieter, you may have assumed it didn't exist, or that it was childish, irresponsible, too soft. But the truth is, my dear, the mind without the heart is like a very smart car without a steering wheel. It can move very fast, but it doesn't know where to go. The heart without any mind at all can be impulsive and naive. What we are learning now is not choose one and kill the other, but let them sit at the same table. You do not need to shut off your mind. You only need to invite your heart into the conversation. So how do you know, in a practical way, whether you are living from fear in the mind or from trust in the heart? Let us make this very simple. Imagine you have a decision in front of you. It could be a relationship choice, a job opportunity, a boundary you want to set, even something as small as whether to go to a social event. Take a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. At the top, write mind on one side and heart, body on the other. Then, under the mind column, write down all the sentences that are running through your head. You might see things like, if I don't go, they will be angry. What if I regret it? What if I fail? What if I look stupid? The mind talks in what ifs, in theories, in rules other people gave you. It will often sound like your parents, your teachers, your culture, your old fears. It will try to control outcomes. It is not bad. This is just its way. Now, under the heart-body column, don't write sentences first. Start by asking a different question. How does my body feel when I imagine saying yes? How does it feel when I imagine saying no? Close your eyes, take a slow breath, and notice your chest, your throat, your stomach, your shoulders. When you picture one option, do you feel your chest open or close? Does your breathing become easier or tighter? Do you feel a sense of grounding in your legs, or do you feel like you are leaving your body altogether? The heart often shows up as a physical sense of expansion or contraction. A heart-aligned choice can still feel scary, especially if it is new. But beneath the fear, there is usually a quiet sense of rightness, like a soft inner yes. A fear-based choice might feel temporarily safer in your head, but in your body there is a shrinking, a heaviness, a sense of betrayal. Sometimes the mind will argue, this is the sensible choice, while the heart whispers, but it hurts me. Other times the mind screams, this is too risky, while the heart whispers, and yet I feel more alive when I think about it. This is where you begin to practice a new kind of listening. Instead of asking only, what makes sense on paper, you add, what feels true and kind in my body. You are not throwing logic out the window. You are simply allowing the heart to have equal voting rights. The mind can present the data. The heart can tell you how that data lands inside you. When you put both on the page, thoughts on one side, body sensations on the other, you begin to see the difference between fear thoughts and guidance. Fear thoughts tighten you, judge you, shame you, rush you. Heart guidance might still be firm, but it feels like being taken by the hand, not shoved from behind. I want you to notice how much of your inner conflict comes from expecting the mind to do a job it was never meant to do. The mind is wonderful for planning, organizing, learning new skills, analyzing information. It is not very good at telling you what is truly aligned with your soul. It can weigh options, but it cannot feel your destiny. The heart, on the other hand, is like a compass. It may not give you the entire map, but it will tell you, this direction feels true, that direction feels wrong, long before the mind can gather all the evidence. When you ignore that compass and force yourself to follow only the fearful logic of the mind, I must stay, I must please them, I must not rock the boat, you often end up in a life that looks correct on the outside and feels dead on the inside. When you begin gently to honor the heart, your choices might look confusing to other people, but inside, your nervous system starts to relax. You feel more at home with yourself, even if the path is not completely clear. So the next time you are caught in a swirl of thoughts, I want you to slow down and ask yourself two simple questions. First, what is my mind saying? Let it speak. Write it down. Don't censor. Let it list all the fears, all the predictions, all the rules. Then, how does my heart and body feel about this? Put your hand on your chest, breathe, and listen for sensations, not sentences. Is there a sense of inner no that you have been overriding for years? Is there a quiet desire you keep pushing away because it doesn't match your old story about who you are allowed to be? You might discover that your mind is terrified of disappointing people while your heart is begging you to rest. Your mind might be rehearsing every possible way a conversation could go wrong, while your heart simply wants to speak one honest sentence and then be quiet. Remember, my dear, you do not need to crush the mind to follow the heart. You are simply learning to let them sit together, like two children at the same table, with you as the loving adult in the room. When the mind starts spiraling into, what if everything falls apart? You can let the heart gently respond. What if things are rearranging so they can fall into place? When the mind asks, what if this leads to more pain? The heart can whisper, what if this leads to more truth, more growth, more freedom? You are not choosing naive optimism. You are choosing not to be ruled by fear alone. You are choosing to add trust to the conversation. And over time, as you keep writing those two columns, as you keep checking in with your body, something very beautiful begins to happen. The mind slowly learns from the heart. It starts to adopt new questions. What would be kind to us? What helps us feel peaceful tomorrow, not just safe for 5 minutes today? The heart, feeling finally heard, grows stronger and clearer. The war inside quiets down, not because anyone won, but because you stopped taking sides and started listening to both with love. So no, you do not need to get rid of your mind. You do not need to silence every thought, and you certainly do not need to wait until you have no fear before you move. You simply need to invite your heart into the room where decisions are made. From now on, when you feel torn, let the mind speak, let the heart speak, and then let the deepest, kindest part of you say, thank you both. We are going to choose the path that honors us, even if it scares us a little. That is what it means to stop living from fear and to start living from trust. Not blind trust in circumstances, but a growing trust in your own inner wisdom. Well, let's do this together, my darling. I don't want this to be something you just understand in your head. I want you to feel it in your body, in your heart, in this very moment. So, if you can, I invite you to pause whatever else you are doing. You don't have to make it dramatic. You don't have to sit like a perfect statue. Just find a position that is comfortable enough for a few minutes. Let your shoulders loosen a little. Let your jaw soften. You and I are going to practice something very simple and very deep. We are going to let your busy mind come and sit inside your beautiful heart for a while. You don't have to know how to do it. I will walk you through, gently, like a friend taking your hand. First, I'd like you to bring one hand to the center of your chest. It doesn't matter which hand. Just place it there, as if you were greeting your own heart. If you feel awkward, that's all right. Awkward is allowed. Now, if it is safe to do so, go ahead and close your eyes. If you can't close them because you're in a public place, you can simply lower your gaze and soften your focus. Take a slow breath in through your nose, and then let it out through your mouth with a little sigh. No force, no performance, just a gentle exhale, as if you were releasing the day for a moment. Again, breathe in softly, and breathe out a little longer than you breathed in. Let your belly loosen. Let your chest soften under your hand. One more time, breathe in and breathe out, as if your whole body is saying, I am allowed to rest for a minute. Now, I want you to imagine that all of those thoughts swirling in your head are like very busy little characters in a room upstairs. Perhaps you recognize them. There is the one that worries, what if this doesn't work? There's the one that criticizes, you're doing it wrong. There is the one that plans, the one that remembers old hurts, the one that loves to predict disasters. They are all up there, talking over each other, stacking papers, banging on the desk. Just notice them. You don't have to shut them up. You don't have to argue with them. You are only noticing, oh, look, my mind is very busy today. And then very gently, in your own way, I want you to speak to them. You might say silently, thank you for trying to protect me. Thank you, my busy thoughts. You have done enough for now. You don't have to solve everything in this moment. Come, let's go downstairs together. Let's sit in the heart. Say it in your own language, your own tone. The important thing is the feeling. You are inviting the mind, not fighting it. As you say this, imagine that all of that noisy mental energy, all those chattering little voices, begin to gather themselves. They are not being thrown out. They are simply being invited to move. In your imagination, see them leaving the area of your forehead, your temples, your scalp, like a crowd leaving a stadium when the game is over. There is no rush. They are just streaming out of the headroom, carrying their little worries and stories and lists with them. And now, imagine that you, the deeper you, are guiding them gently down an invisible staircase inside your body. From the forehead, down behind the eyes, down past the back of the nose, down through the throat. As you do this, let your breath stay soft and slow. You are not pulling or forcing. You are inviting. Come with me, dear mind. We're going to sit in a softer place for a while. Now shift your attention to where your hand is resting on your chest. I want you to imagine that your awareness, which has been living mostly in your head all day, is now sliding down like warm light into the space under your hand. If it helps, imagine a soft golden glow in the center of your chest, about the size of a small candle flame. With each breath, that candle grows a little brighter, a little warmer. Feel the rise and fall of your chest against your palm. Feel the warmth or coolness of your hand on your body. If a thought tries to pull you back up into the head, am I doing this right? How long is this taking? What's the point? Don't scold it. Just say, "Thank you, mind. Come sit here with me," and bring your attention back down to the heart area. Imagine that your mind is truly sitting there now, like a child resting its head against your chest, listening to your heartbeat. As you breathe, notice the sensations here. Perhaps you feel a gentle pulsing. Perhaps you feel tightness, or even a dull ache. Perhaps you feel nothing at all, just the pressure of your hand. Whatever it is, that is perfectly all right. There is no correct feeling. You are just becoming acquainted with this space. You might say quietly inside, "This is my heart. This is where I live. This is where my truth sits, even when my mind is noisy." If your mind tries to tell a story about the past or the future, imagine those words dissolving into this warm light in your chest, like ink in water, fading and softening. You are not pushing them away. You are letting the heart hold them for a moment, so you don't have to carry them all in your head. Now, from this place, with your attention in your chest, I'd like you to ask a very simple question. You don't have to push for an answer. You don't have to strain. Just ask softly, as if you're talking to a loved one. Right now, what is the kindest thing I can do for myself? Let the question fall into your heart, like a pebble dropping into a still pond. Feel the ripples. Maybe an answer comes immediately. Drink some water. Take a break. Stop checking that message. Go to bed earlier. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't want to understand. Maybe there is no clear sentence at all, just a feeling of wanting warmth, or rest, or space. Maybe you feel the urge to cry a little. That is all right too. Tears are just the heart's way of saying, "Thank you for visiting. I have been waiting for you." If your mind jumps in and says, "That's silly," or "That's too small," or "That won't fix anything," notice that voice, and then, very gently, imagine taking it by the hand and sitting it back down in your chest. We are not solving the whole universe right now, you can say. We are just asking what would be kind to us in this moment. Allow the answer to be simple. Maybe the kindest thing is to stop scrolling. Maybe it is to stretch your back. Maybe it is to forgive yourself for not being perfect today. Maybe it is just to sit here for one more minute with your hand on your heart, doing nothing. Your heart will rarely ask for something harsh. It usually asks for softness, honesty, simplicity. Stay with this for a little while. Feel your breath flowing in and out. Feel your hand on your chest, and your chest pushing gently back. Imagine that with each inhale, you are breathing directly into that warm light in your heart. With each exhale, you are letting tension melt down your shoulders, your arms, your spine. If words come, let them be simple and kind, like you would speak to a child you love. "I'm here, I'm listening, I won't leave you." If no words come, let the warmth do the talking. You do not have to impress your heart. You do not have to fix yourself in these few minutes. You are simply practicing being with yourself without fighting. If you find that you feel nothing at all, no warmth, no answer, no special sensation, I want you to know that this is also a valid experience. Many people have lived in their heads for so long that the heart feels numb at first. Numbness is not a failure. It is a protective blanket. If that is the case for you, your practice today is simply to sit with that numbness and say, "It's all right that I don't feel much right now. I am still here with you. I will keep coming back." The heart often opens slowly with repetition and safety, not with force. Imagine that every time you do this, You are knocking gently on a door inside yourself. Sooner or later, that door will open a little more. When you feel ready, you can let this little heart moment come to a close. There is no rush. Take one more slow breath into your chest, and as you exhale, imagine sending kindness from your heart to your mind, like a warm wave flowing upward, blessing that busy, tired part of you. You might say inside, "Thank you, mind, for everything you try to do for me. You don't have to carry it alone. My heart is here too." Then wiggle your fingers and toes a little, roll your shoulders gently, and if your eyes were closed, allow them to open slowly. Look around the room, notice a few simple objects, and bring your awareness back to the outer world, carrying with you just a little of that warmth you touched inside. This is how you begin to bring the mind into the heart, not as a big spiritual performance, but as a small daily act of friendship with yourself. You pause, you breathe, you invite the noisy thoughts to sit in a softer room. You feel your own heartbeat. You ask one kind question. You don't demand an answer. You let the answer arrive when it's ready, even if it's very small. If you do this for 1 or 2 minutes a day, you are teaching your system a brand new pattern. I don't have to live only from fear in my head. I can live from warmth in my heart. And little by little, almost without you noticing, your decisions, your reactions, your words to yourself will begin to change, because they are no longer coming from a mind that is alone and frightened, but from a mind that has learned to sit safely inside a loving heart. Let me share something with you, my darling. There are days in my own life when I notice that the very first quiet second that appears, my hand wants to reach for something. A book, the radio, the phone, a task, anything at all, so I don't have to simply be with myself. We have been trained to fear emptiness, to think that if nothing is happening, something is wrong, or that we are wasting time. But when I talk about emptiness with you, I am not speaking about that heavy, hopeless void you may have felt in your darkest moments. I am talking about a gentle, open space inside of you that is not yet filled with noise, not yet crowded with everyone else's demands. It is like an uncluttered room with sunlight on the floor, waiting for you to rest in it. This kind of emptiness is not a punishment. It is an invitation. You see, so many of us are terrified of stopping. The moment the train of life slows down even a little, we rush to fill the silence with a screen, with news, with messages, with endless tiny tasks. We tell ourselves, "I'm just checking," but underneath, we are often running away from the simple act of being here with our own heart. When you constantly fill yourself with stimulation, your deeper truth has no doorway to come through. There is no space for your inner wisdom to say, "Sweetheart, this is what you really need today," because you have already covered it up with everyone else's opinions and problems. So when I talk about practicing emptiness, I'm asking you to allow a few sacred pockets in your day where you are not entertaining yourself, not fixing anything, not planning your escape. You are simply present. You don't have to start with an hour. You don't even have to start with 10 minutes. You can begin with 30 seconds while you are waiting for the elevator, or standing in a line, or sitting on the bus. These are the moments when the old habit will whisper, "Take out your phone, see what's happening, distract yourself." And this is where your new self begins to gently practice something different. Instead of grabbing for the distraction, you take one slow, kind breath. Just one. You feel your feet on the floor, your body held by the chair or the ground, and you ask very softly inside, "Heart, how are we doing?" You may not hear an answer at first. That's all right. You are not interrogating your heart. You are letting it know that for once, you are actually here. As you practice this, I want you to include the body, because your body tells the truth even when your mouth says, "I'm fine." In those little empty moments, turn your attention inward and simply notice, are your shoulders up around your ears? Is your jaw clenched? Is your stomach tight as if you are bracing for something bad? Most of us walk around as if we are still in an old argument, still in an old emergency, long after the danger has passed. Without scolding yourself, just notice. Oh, my shoulders are working so hard to protect me. My jaw is biting down on all the words I never said. My belly is waiting for a blow that is not here. Then, with your next exhale, invite one part of you to soften. Drop the shoulders a tiny bit. Let the jaw loosen just a fraction. Let your belly expand a little as you breathe. You don't have to fix it all at once. You are simply teaching your nervous system a new sentence. Right now, in this moment, nothing is attacking me. I am allowed to let go just a little. The more you practice this kind of simple emptiness, the more you will discover that it is not empty at all. Underneath the noise, there has always been a quiet you, watching, waiting, breathing. Sometimes in that space, sadness will come, or tiredness, or anger. Many people think, "Oh no, this is why I avoid being still. I don't want to feel this." But my dear, those feelings were there anyway. You were just drowning them in distraction. When they come up in the emptiness, it is not because you are doing something wrong, but because your heart finally feels safe enough to speak. You might simply say, "Yes, I see you. I know you're there. You're allowed to be here for a moment." You don't need to solve all your pain standing in line at the supermarket. Just acknowledging it is already an act of love. That is how the emptiness you once feared slowly becomes a gentle, honest space where you and your heart can meet. Little by little, this practice of not immediately filling every gap will change the tone of your whole day. You will find that you are less reactive because you have learned to create micro pauses. You will catch yourself before sending that angry message, before agreeing to something you don't want, before swallowing another feeling whole. Each small moment of emptiness becomes an anchor point where you check in. Are we still here? Are we still breathing? Is anything truly dangerous right now? Or is this just an old alarm going off? And every time you relax your shoulders, every time you soften your jaw, every time you let your belly expand with a kinder breath, you are sending yourself a clear message. I am not abandoning you. I am here in this body, with this heart, and we are safe enough to relax for a moment. Now, from this place of a little more space, we can talk about something very important. The way you speak to yourself when you make mistakes. I want to tell you something very honestly. The most exhausting battle you fight is not with the world. It is with your own inner voice. You may think that the people around you are wearing you out, and perhaps some of them are. But often the deepest bruises do not come from what others say. They come from the words you repeat to yourself after everyone else has gone home. Somewhere along the way, many of us learn to believe that if we criticize ourselves harshly enough, we will finally become good, normal, acceptable. So every time something goes wrong, the inner judge wakes up. Again? You failed again. Look at everyone else, they can do it. Why can't you? When will you ever get it right? And you may not even notice how often this voice is speaking. Because it sounds so familiar, you think it is you. But I want you to understand this. Every time you stab yourself with those words, You are wounding a heart that is already trying its very best. That part of you that is learning, growing, stumbling, falling, and getting back up, that part does not need another blow. It needs a bandage. It needs a hand. It needs someone to say, I see you trying. I know you're tired. Come, let's rest and try again later. When you keep attacking yourself on top of life's challenges, your mind has no safe place to land. So it keeps running, getting louder and louder, because it is trying to defend itself from its own attacker, you. No wonder you feel exhausted. You've been in a war zone inside your own head. Imagine for a moment that every time you made a mistake, a small child appeared in front of you, wide-eyed, scared, ashamed, holding the broken pieces of something they dropped. Would you lean over them and say, "You're useless. Other children don't do this. What's wrong with you?" Of course not. It would break your heart to speak that way. You would kneel down, look at them and say, "Yes, this didn't go well, did it? But you are not bad. You are learning. We can clean this up together." That small child is exactly what your inner self feels like when something goes wrong. The problem is, you have been playing the role of the harsh supervisor instead of the loving parent. So now we are going to shift roles. The next time you catch yourself making a mistake, forgetting something, saying the wrong words, overeating, procrastinating, whatever your pattern is, I want you to pause. Just for a few seconds. Feel your feet on the ground. Place a hand on your heart or your belly if you can. Step 1. Tell the truth, simply and clearly. Yes, I didn't do my best there. Yes, this was not the choice I wanted to make. We are not pretending it didn't happen. We are not sugarcoating. We are acknowledging reality. Step 2. Add the sentence you rarely give yourself. Something like, "And I am learning. I am still worthy of love, even when I am not perfect. I am allowed to grow instead of punish myself." You do not have to say it loudly. You don't have to believe it completely the first time. You just have to be willing to try a different tone. At first, your inner critic will not like this. It has been running the show for years, and now you are gently taking the microphone away. It might say, "If I don't yell, you'll never change." But you know that's not true. Think about your own life. When have you grown the most? When you were terrified and shamed, or when you felt supported and safe enough to try? We blossom in warmth, not under a hailstorm. So you can say to that critical voice, "Thank you for trying to keep me in line. You don't have to hit me to get my attention anymore. I am listening now, and I choose to guide myself with kindness." The critic can learn a new job. Instead of being the executioner, it can become a gentle reminder, a wise advisor. But it will only learn if you consistently respond with softness instead of joining its attacks. Slowly, this changes the whole atmosphere inside you. When you stop being violent with yourself, your nervous system no longer needs to be on high alert all the time. The mind doesn't have to scream to defend itself. That panicky, repetitive thinking begins to soften because it feels less threatened. Peace does not arrive because you have eliminated all your flaws. Peace arrives because at last you have stopped treating yourself like an enemy. You become someone you can trust to hold your own heart, even on the days when you are clumsy and afraid, and when your own inner home becomes safer. The outer world feels less like a battlefield. Other people's opinions sting less. Their disrespect doesn't sink as deep. The small problems of the day do not feel like proof that you are hopeless. They are just problems, and you are a person who is learning how to walk through them with more and more gentleness. So, my dear, this is the invitation for you today. Create a little empty space where you do not run away from yourself, and in that space, begin to change the way you speak to you. You do not have to be perfect at this. You will forget. You will slide back into old words. That's all right. Every time you remember, you can simply say, I was hurting myself again. I choose a softer way. And that single choice, repeated over and over, is how you stop fighting yourself and begin finally to stand on your own side. Now that we've softened so many of those old hard places inside, I want to invite you into something very simple, very gentle, and very powerful. We are not going to use affirmations as glitter to sprinkle over your pain, or as slogans to scream at yourself when you're already exhausted. We are going to use them as new sentences for your mind and your heart to practice together, like two children learning the same song. So as I speak, I want you to just notice which phrases make your body soften, which ones make you want to breathe a little deeper. You don't have to grab all of them. One or two that feel right is more than enough. And if a part of you rolls its eyes and says, "That's not true," that's okay too. We're not trying to force belief. We're simply opening a little window for a kinder possibility. The first sentence I want to offer you is this: my mind and heart are working together in perfect harmony. Just let that float around you for a moment. You have spent so many years feeling torn, pulled between logic and emotion, between what you should do and what you secretly long for, between the voice in your head and the ache in your chest. Of course you are tired. You've been living as if the different parts of you were enemies. So when you say, "My mind and heart are working together in perfect harmony," you are not pretending they always have. You are gently inviting them to stop fighting and sit at the same table. Your mind can say, "Here are the facts," and your heart can say, "Here is what feels true." And you begin to notice that both of them want one thing: your safety, your happiness, your peace. You no longer have to choose either or. You are allowed to have a clear mind and a tender heart, both standing on your side. Now we add a second sentence, one that may feel a little more challenging at first. I release the need to criticize myself and choose to love who I am. I'm not asking you to never have a critical thought again. That would be unrealistic. I am asking you to look at the habit of self-attack and notice how often you have used it as a way to control yourself. Perhaps you believed, if I am hard enough on me, I will finally behave. I will finally be acceptable. But what has that strategy really brought you? A little improvement and a lot of fear, a little productivity and a lot of shame. When you say, "I release the need to criticize myself," you are not promising that you will never see your own flaws. You are simply saying, "I will no longer use cruelty as my tool." And when you add, "and choose to love who I am," you are not claiming to adore every detail of your life. You are opening to the idea that underneath the mistakes and the unfinished lessons, there is a being here who is worthy of kindness. You might whisper it like this: I release the need to criticize myself and choose to love who I am, even while I am still learning. Feel how different that is from the old inner whip. Then we let the third sentence join the circle. I trust the wisdom of my heart and the clarity of my mind. Your heart knows what feels alive and what feels dead. Your mind knows how to plan, organize, and take steps. When you trust both, life begins to feel less like a battlefield and more like a collaboration. You can say, "Heart, show me the direction. Mind, help me find the way to walk it." This is so different from letting fear run the show in your head while completely ignoring the gentle yes or no in your chest. Over time, this simple line, "I trust the wisdom of my heart and the clarity of my mind," teaches you that you are not lopsided. You are not too emotional or too logical. You are a whole being learning to let each part do what it does best. Let's add another layer of peace now. Say slowly, inside yourself if you like, "I am at peace with my thoughts and my feelings." For many years, you may have believed that peace meant having no thoughts and no feelings, like turning everything off. So when anxiety arose, you thought, "I've failed. I'm not peaceful." When sadness washed in, you thought, "I must be broken." But thoughts and feelings are not the enemy. They are waves moving through the ocean that you are. To be at peace with them doesn't mean you enjoy every single one. It means you stop being afraid of their existence. When a worry passes through, instead of panicking, you might say, "Ah, there is worry again. I know you. You are just an old habit." When a feeling of grief rises, instead of condemning it, you might say, "Of course you are here. Something mattered to me." Peace is not the absence of inner weather. It is the place inside you that knows. The sky is still there behind the clouds. So as you whisper, "I am at peace with my thoughts and my feelings," you are teaching your system that it is safe to have an inner life. You are allowed to think and feel without automatically turning against yourself. And then we come to a very precious sentence, one that brings everything we've explored together. Life flows easily for me because I have stopped resisting myself. I want you to really feel the heart of this. Life does not become soft because the world suddenly turns into a perfect movie. Life becomes softer when you are no longer in a constant tug of war with your own being. So many of the hardest bumps you have felt were not only the events themselves, but the way you fought yourself inside those events. "I shouldn't feel this. I shouldn't need this. I shouldn't be like this." When that inner civil war begins to quiet, the same job, the same home, the same relationships can feel entirely different because you are no longer adding that extra layer of self-resistance. It's as if the river of your life has always wanted to carry you, and you finally stop digging your heels into the riverbed. So let these 5 sentences sit around you like kind companions. You don't have to memorize them perfectly. You might choose just one for this week, perhaps. "I am at peace with my thoughts and my feelings," and repeat it softly whenever you notice your mind attacking your emotions. Or you might like, "Life flows easily for me because I have stopped resisting myself," and use it as a gentle reminder whenever you catch yourself tensing up against what is. Remember, we are not using these phrases to silence your pain or to deny your reality. We are using them to offer your mind and your heart a new way of speaking, a new place to stand together. If an old thought comes in and says, "This is silly," you can smile and say, "Thank you for your opinion. I'll try kindness anyway." Little by little, these sentences become less like foreign language and more like the mother tongue of your inner world. And before we finish, I want to leave you with a whisper that is just for you. You who have tried so hard for so long to fix yourself. You who have read and prayed and journaled and still sometimes think, "Why am I not healed yet?" My dear one, you are not broken. You are tired from doing so much healing the old way, through pressure, through self-judgment, through constant inner pushing. There has never been anything wrong with your essence. There have only been old stories, old fears, old defenses that you learned when you didn't know any better. Every time you choose to speak to yourself more gently, every time you pause instead of attacking yourself, every time you put your hand on your heart and ask, "What do you need?" you are teaching your mind and your heart to stand on the same side. You are showing your nervous system, we are not at war anymore. We are a team now. Some days you will feel this very clearly, other days not at all, and that is all right. Healing is not a straight line. It is a friendship you build with yourself, one small conversation at a time. So as we close, I would love for you to take one soft breath, and if it feels right, say quietly with me, "My mind and my heart are learning to be on the same side. I am no longer my own enemy. I am becoming my own safe place." Feel that. Let it land wherever it can today. You and your mind and your heart are learning to be on the same side. And as that happens, life will become softer, kinder, and more peaceful for you. And so it is.